to the Digital Foyer. My name is Noreen Smith, and I am a pastoral director here at St. Benedict Parish, and I am here with
Tanya LaRue, also a pastoral director, and happy to be here and talk about the spiritual reset.
The spiritual reset. Because here we find ourselves at the beginning of the year, right? And there's so many different. All right, here's the deal. In my life, I find I'm a little confused as to when the new thing belongs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's January 1st, New Year's resolutions. Okay. But then September 1st, the beginning of the school year, in spite of the fact I have no kids in institutionalized education any longer at this point, I still sort of feel as September is the beginning of the year. But we wanted to talk about, in general, that feeling of newness, because in our most recent issue of the Benedictus, which was a special Christmas issue that we put out, we put a focus on the idea of the spiritual reset.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny how with New Year's resolutions, we always tend to think about going to the gym, eating healthy, like good physical and maybe even sometimes mental well-being aspects of our life. But we don't always think about the spiritual. And I think that this is a really good opportunity to think along those lines of the spiritual reset, or maybe a spiritual beginning for some of our viewers.
Yeah, it's interesting. Recently this year, I had a chance for a spiritual reset myself. I turned 60. And I felt like it was the beginning of a new thing. So I actually, right after my birthday, the next day, I went on retreat. I took time by myself to just be with God and think about what it was, going back through the decades, things that he had done in my life that were like a rock. It's almost like I was building these 12 stones of my life. Where I met with him at these different points. One when I was 16, another one when I was 20, and I just kept going through it. So for me, that was one of the ways in which I did a spiritual reset. And I've got to admit, like, that's not a common way for me, just because I don't often have 3-5 days to take time with God.
Yeah, but it's so important, right?
Yeah.
And I even think my own, I also took a retreat this year, which don't often do, because again, lots of things going on here at the parish, and but I really felt like I needed that spiritual reset. I think quite often when we work in ministry, sometimes we get caught up working on the ministry and not necessarily working in ourselves as well. So for me, that was really life-giving. And I know that there's lots of folks, we've had, I don't know how many young adults in particularly coming to our parish in the last year or so who are really seeking that spirituality. And I think people of our vintage, sometimes we've not been super close to church because maybe we carry some baggage. Maybe you were like me and your parents had to drag you to church as a child, and you thought when you became an adult, I'm not doing that anymore. And so, but maybe there's something in you that's kind of getting drawn back towards that. And this is a real opportunity to have that spiritual reset in your life, where we've got so many things happening at this parish, sort of low-key entry points to figure out what that spiritual reset might be. But all the way up through, maybe you've been coming to church every Sunday, and but that's just on Sundays, and you want to sort of expand that. Again, lots of opportunities to engage in your spiritual health.
In a lot of ways, from home as a place to start. Just making space for awe.
Yeah.
And I think that seems to be what's driving a lot of the people that we're seeing come into church that are in that sort of the age of my kids, right, 20s and 30s, is there's a hunger for awe. There's a hunger for something else. There's a hunger for wonder. And you got to in order for that hunger to really be satisfied, you got to take the time to spend the time to set aside and to think on God, to pray with God, to open up the Bible. The most astonishing part about any of this with the spiritual reset, with that idea of taking time with God, anything, the most amazing part of any of it to me is that my hunger for God isn't even a hair's breadth compared to the depth and the width and the height of the hunger that God has for me to actually join Him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So I guess that's what we're encouraging you is wherever you find it. You can find our new Benedictus magazine on our website, stbenedict.ca/read. There's going to be some suggestions in there of ways that you can make that connection with God. But do not be satisfied until you find it, that connection with God.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so visit our website, get engaged, just come to Mass, talk to one of us, whatever you will. And we hope to see you soon, and tune in next time.